It's no secret that I love podcasting. It's an absolute joy to create, and it's kind of become a way of life for me. Since becoming a podcaster, my internal healing has been huge. I now like my voice and I enjoy creating content, and it's nice to know that people actually come here to listen to what I have to say. And when you start to feel good on the inside, you also start to feel good on the outside too. But then beginning a podcast can be a little bit daunting, and one of the big decisions you've got to make when creating a podcast is choosing how and where to record, which platform to use to distribute your amazing new show which you're dreaming up right now. I chose Zencastr. The design of it is easy to navigate. It shows you video but only records audio if you wish. Your guests don't need to have an account. You can send a link and they can join. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web browser podcast solution, and it provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. Podcasters can seamlessly record, produce and publish studio quality content. Log in using your browser and start recording high quality podcasts right away. Record quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you will always have your recording in the highest quality, even if the connection is poor and unstable. Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. If you've thought about podcasting before and realised that you need a lot of different tools and services, those days are over. You can create your podcast and distribute to Spotify, Apple Podcasts and all other major platforms. If you are interested in joining me on this amazing podcasting lifestyle and want to get going with your own podcast, you can go to zencastr.com/pricing and use the official BELLWITCH podcast offer code, which is BELLWITCH, BELLWITCH. And you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. That's zencastr.com/pricing and use my code BELLWITCH to get 30% off. And once you've mastered the technicalities of creating a podcast, you can have all the fun preparing and interviewing. Honestly, it's absolutely brilliant. Find my offer link in the show notes. Being a creator has never been easier. Sand will fall, stone will stay, moon will rise and the sun will set. We have good days and we have bad days, but we have to appreciate our lives. And that was written by my lovely daughter Flossie, who is almost 8. Now then, witches and beautiful souls, welcome back to the BELLWITCH podcast with me, Swailes, a friendly green witch. Thank you for joining me. I love that you're here. As we hurtle headfirst towards the scary month of December. We're at the end of November now, getting ready to get festive. Are you ready for it? Have you got your Christmas shopping? I haven't even put my Christmas tree up yet. Have you put your Christmas tree up? It is the 27th of November, and I know quite a lot of people who have put the tree up already this year. They are ready for it, willing to get in there and feel festive. They just couldn't wait. But remember, decorating your tree is witchcraft, a pagan spell, a pagan celebration. Putting ornaments on a tree actually does have history in the pagan tradition. Decorating the tree with things that represent your pagan spirituality and themes of the seasons, light, sun symbol, magical items, natural objects, is a tradition that dates back at least as far as Egyptian and Roman civilizations during the winter solstice. A pagan thing to do, and there's lots of pagan crafts you can create to put on tree. One of my favourite ones, slicing up oranges really thinly and then putting them in the oven on a really low temperature and drying them out. And then when they're done, you can take them out, put them on string and hang them on your tree. And they just smell absolutely divine. And I do it every year. And I also make a few for my altar, and I make a few for the bath as well. So if you're looking for a quick, easy pagan tradition with your little kiddies to do on Christmas Eve or on Yuletide, then that's a good one I can recommend. There's also the sticking cloves into the skin of the orange too. I do that often, and I create a little pentacle sign, or infinity is quite a good one as well. And because of the smells, oh, it smells divine. Yep, them two things I do every year, and it's a bit of a Swailes Yuletide tradition. I always mean to do a Yule log every single November, December, and that's the tradition of getting an actual log given by nature, like off the ground, drying it out, tidying it up, decorating it with pine cones and fir needles, flowers, acorns, twigs, and cinnamon sticks and pentacles, and making it look really gorgeous, having it on the table for your Yuletide meal, and then putting it on the fire to burn. Every single year I go, I'm going to do that. And every single year I don't do it because life, but that's okay. Now, I feel like I've got loads to tell you since I last spoke to you. I was just about to head off for Witchfest to volunteer as a steward, and it was an amazing experience. I really, really enjoyed myself there and made new friends and felt welcome in the community. So I'll have to tell you all about that, and then this amazing raffle prize that I won at the end of the night. Ooh, what can it be? And then I had to run off to get my bus home that took 6 blooming hours, which I really regret because I would have liked to have stayed and partied till early hours in the morning because it just looked fabulous. And yeah, it's a shame. I missed out. Next year I will stay in Croydon and I will party till the early hours. But you live and learn, and you can't win them all. Ooh, yes, and another update. Oh my gosh, this moldervite, it is transforming my life. So I don't know if you remember a few episodes back, I bought myself a tiny little pizza slice shape of moldervite, 1.4 grams. Did a bit of silver wrapping, put it on a hook, put it on a chain, wear it every so often, not every day, almost every day, take it off at night. But wow, it has done a lot for me. So in the beginning I was seeing patterns, coincidences, things on the radio, thinking about people that called me, masses of angel numbers, like absolutely masses of them. Then I was having these really vivid dreams that I'd wake up and remember, random me on a stage, things going well dreams, which I've never actually experienced before. And then for a while it went really quiet, and I was a bit like, I might start wearing it every day as opposed to every other day, which I did. Things are going well, I feel really happy, and I've taken up jogging. This is a big deal. I've never jogged in my life. I've never wanted to jog in my life. I don't generally like running in general. I just feel really motivated to get out there and jog, and it's amazing really because I've always been so against running and jogging. Well, not against it, but like, I ain't got time for that. Who's got time for that? I'd just rather not, I've got other things I enjoy more. Other things I would have rather have done than go outside in the piss wet through and jog. But I was recommended to start the Couch to 5K a few months back. And I've been looking at this app for a while, and I downloaded it onto my mobile phone, left it there for quite a long time, just kind of silently judging me that I hadn't opened the app yet. But it was there, and it was on my mind, and I kept thinking about it, and not opening the app, but just looking at it on my home screen, thinking, I should probably do something with this at some point. And then after I received the moldervite, I took the plunge, I opened it up, I set it up, and I started running. When I say running, I actually mean jogging. Like jogging really, really slow. And it was quite challenging, and I wasn't sold on it. Anyway, this morning, as of the 27th of November, I ran my third week, and I did 3 minutes of jogging, which for me is just phenomenal. And it was raining cats and dogs, and it was wet, and my feet were just like swimming pools in my shoes. And I didn't care. I didn't care that I had soggy feet, and I didn't care I was getting wet in the rain, and I was on my own. No other people around, no other joggers around for sure, I tell you that. But I just couldn't help but run. I wanted to jog so bad. And I've never felt like this ever. So I might even have this running bug, which everybody tells me is a thing, and I've never really quite believed them. Well, like runners tell me it's a thing. Not everybody, just people who like running. But yeah, I'm feeling really motivated, and I do honestly think it's going to change my life in terms of health and fitness. But not so coincidental that I'm wearing moldervite almost every day. Things really have aligned. People are giving me confidence and supporting me. And I've got an accountability album on the old Facebook. And also I've got accountability now on this podcast. I mean, how hardcore is that? You better do it now, Swailes, because you've just announced it on the BELLWITCH podcast, for God's sake. It's just really nice being outside and watching the birds and running and breathing the fresh air. God, I'm so pagan. So thank you, dear moldervite, for helping me to make the changes, give me the motivation to change my life, because prior to getting this crystal, I was really unmotivated, and I sat on my bottom on the sofa for days and days and days. So if you're still on the fence about getting yourself a little bit of moldervite, doesn't have to be a huge bit, can be a tiny bit, I absolutely recommend that you do, and I think you should. If you want to change your life, you absolutely should. Witches and beautiful souls, I will keep you updated on my progress, if of course you are interested. So Witchfest on the 18th of November was brilliant. I travelled down on the coach at 12 on Friday, got there at 6, stupidly booked somewhere in the centre of London on Oxford Road. So I spent the Friday night just having a bit of an artist date in Soho. And then I went to Liberty London and just walked around the store with my Yorkshire head on, looking at stuff going, how much? How much? Like a proper northerner does. Had to get up early on Saturday morning to get the train from middle of London down to Croydon, which was a good half an hour. Didn't realise it was that far. Who knew Croydon was so far out of the centre of London? I thought it was classed as London, but a few people have told me it's actually classed as Surrey or something. Or Sussex, or I don't know. Northerner rookie error there. When I walked in to the building, I was a bit unsure what to do with myself. Everybody was just kind of milling around, having a bit of food. There were this amazing little doggo that were just sat chilling. And it was really obvious that these volunteers were a family and they'd been doing it quite some time. So in the beginning, I felt a little bit awkward just because, well, nobody knew me for a start, and it was my first time coming as a volunteer. I was a bit nervous, if I'm honest. I was hoping they would like me, because it's always a bit nerve-wracking when you join something that's been going on for quite some time. I have been to Witchfest before, just once in 2019 with Jodie. Again, we went down on the bus on Saturday morning. We got there quite late. And I remember just being so amazed by the fact that this was a festival for witches, that had all kinds of amazing speakers on, and the traders there were just absolutely fantastic. And that, in fact, is where I got my goddess and god statues that you always see on my altar pictures. Yeah, they came from Witchfest, from a company called, I think it's called In the Belly Ceramics, and their designs are brilliant and beautiful, and I like absolutely everything. Gorgeous. Love it. But yeah, Witchfest, it was a good little mix of people and outfits. Some people just came in relaxed clothing, just like jeans and a band t-shirt, and other people came dressed up to the absolute nines with big, beautiful headdresses and amazing makeup with, like corsets and huge, beautiful witchy nails. Everybody looked absolutely stunning. And I remember thinking, I need to come back to this every year. It's bloody fantastic. But then, of course, 2020, everything got cancelled. Although I'm pretty sure they did like an online festival in place of the in-person festival. These things are never really the same though, are they? But at the time, that's all we could get. I bought a ticket for maybe 21 and that got cancelled too. And I don't know what happened in 22, I can't actually remember. But this year, in I think it was July, Jodie tagged me on their post for volunteers. And I applied and I got it, and I was thinking like, oh my God, this will be amazing, you know, because like I can do this because I'm a steward for work and I get to meet people and I love meeting people. It's one of my favourite things in life. And also, yeah, free ticket. Please remember, I'm Northern. To go there as a volunteer, oh my God, it was so good. So Witchfest, have you heard of it? Do you know what it's all about? Shall I tell you? This year was actually its 21st year. It started way back in November 2002, which is astonishing. I mean, I was like 15 and rebelling at that time. And it's always been at Fairfields Hall in Croydon in South London. That's like its birthplace. Quite a nice place, wheelchair friendly, don't know about parking, easy to access on public transport. Kind of like a theatre convention centre, not too big, just the right size. So the birth of Witchfest, it all began with the Children of Artemis group. The Children of Artemis first started out as a ritual group, a pagan gathering, founded in, I think, the early 90s, though I'm finding that quite hard to confirm, which continued as a small group up until about 1995, when it was transformed into a public membership organisation. It grew quite slowly around 1999 to the year 2000. And then with the establishment of the website and magazines and events and spreading the word with the lightning speed dial-up of 2000s internet, things started to gain traction and grow. Children of Artemis grew quite quickly, became market leaders in their field of witchcraft and Wicca and getting people together. And the magazine's subscription would have helped massively, I would think. And that was also called Witchcraft and Wicca and was written by the volunteer team. I mean, it was entirely run by volunteers. And they were all responsible for certain areas, like bringing people together in ritual and organising events. And Witchfest ended up being one of those events, which obviously became huge, international, the biggest witch event in Europe and probably the world. I mean, how amazing is that? That's just huge, how it just took off and got a huge gathering and happened for 21 years after. And is still going. It has no hierarchy, it tries not to be political, which is, you know, kind of hard in today's day and age, because life is just political, innit? As it's run by volunteers, you can opt into supporting it via like a membership subscription where you choose the amount you want to donate every month to help it run so that they can organise events throughout the year. And I think there's a few perks with that. You get a fabulous ID card that says Witchfest. I think you get added to the subscribers newsletter. I think you get first dibs on tickets, some money off the bar, entrance into the VIP, and I think the official stall you get 10%. And a load more membership perks as well. So do have a look into that and become a Witchfest VIP. It's a pretty amazing grassroots non-profit organisation. Check out witchfest.net if you want to have a look at what they're offering, or the next year's events are on there already. There's tons of information on paganism and witchcraft associated topics. It's well worth a look. But also, I'd be pretty devastated if it didn't happen, because it is such a brilliant event in the calendar every November, and it's just really great to be part of something like this. So yeah, I highly recommend it. They've got lots of social media, including Pinterest and Instagram, but if you go to witchfest.net, you'll find all the links there. Amazing how people could just turn up and be their authentic selves and wear whatever they want, and everybody was welcome here. Apart from the protesters that stood outside all day and all night shouting absolute tosh at people coming in, which made me really cross, I must admit. saying really gross things and making some people upset, because Witchfest is special to them, and some people came for the first time without loved ones that had lost in COVID or last year or whatever, and they were ruining it for them, and it made me so mad. And then, we had the SIA security staff at the doors. I kept having to send them out, to tell these protesters to back off, because they were coming into the building pretending to buy a ticket, trying to engage me in some kind of half-arsed conversation, telling me what I believe, knowing nothing about what I believe, telling me what I believe is wrong. I was like, nah, mate, why do you believe in the devil? It's like, there's no devil in craft. Get out your head. It just makes me laugh, like, their preconceived notions of witchcraft is evil and dark and everything from Hollywood. I mean, I'd give them a tiny bit of respect if they just did a little bit of research into exactly what paganism is and what we believe. We want to look after the earth, but yet they're there going, you're evil and you're dark and you don't believe in Jesus. It's just like, dude, cheer up, man. What are you talking about? Sidebar, last night I was sharing memes on my Instagram account, and I saw one that said, Jesus died just for me, that's manipulative. And somebody else replied, he didn't stay dead either, so that's gaslighting to the max. It just made me laugh so much. Oh, bless him. You carry on carrying your big wooden cross around on your back to make a point. Carry on, lad. Carry on. Anyway, the Met Police have been involved. I think there's an ongoing investigation into it. So if they did do anything to upset you, if they crossed the boundaries, do get in contact with Witchfest and the Met, and I'm sure there's a report going on and people are going to get in trouble because they just overstepped the mark. I've got to mention the amazing drummers we had in the opening. A group of these fantastic drummers that were all dolled up, a bit like Morris dancers. And they were called the Pentacle Drummers, I believe, so go check them out. And they were brilliant, and they were so loud and fantastic. 45 minutes or so. Absolutely loved that bit. I loved it. Oh, yes, and I also met another witchy podcaster, Jenny, from a podcast called Witching Around, which is a fantastic podcast. If you like the BELLWITCH podcast, I would think you would also enjoy Witching Around. And she was lovely. We had a bit of a geek out about how we record and how we plan stuff. That was nice to meet another podcasting witch. Call to action, go over there and check them out. They're on Spotify. 2 witches every month talking about pagan and witchcraft and have guests on. So similar to us over here, but I think you will like it. Hello, lovely listeners. I just wanted to stop the podcast for a moment and tell you about this wonderful new online community I've discovered just recently. Pagans of the North online magazine is a network for pagans, witches, heathens and others on similar paths in and around the north of England, providing a free online magazine, a blog, a directory and other resources on the website, as well as online courses, offering free advertising for businesses and sellers, highlighting the north of England but read by people nationally and internationally. It's a great place to find magic in different businesses or connect with like-minded souls, speaking about being a pagan and a witch in the 21st century, as well as all the centuries ago. Every issue is unique and absolutely beautiful. You can subscribe at pagansofthenorth.co.uk for early access to the magazine, news and events coming up, as well as other little sneak peeks and Easter eggs. This is a free magazine, so it's entirely run by volunteers who would love to connect with you. Got a business you want to advertise? Then give us an email. You can email us at pagansofthenorth@gmail.com, and we're always looking for people to write stuff in, from poetry to a subject you're passionate about to a blog post and all kinds of magical subjects. Come aboard, join our little community, make friends and unearth some more magic in your beautiful pagan life. For my little stint in volunteering at Witchfest, I got this fabulous purple high-vis jacket which said Witchfest Crew on the back with a gorgeous big pentacle, and I absolutely love it. And we also got a spiffing Witchfest crew t-shirt, which I love. So I was walking around feeling pretty chuffed with myself, like, look at my outfit, don't look ace. Saw some fabulous guest speakers in between the volunteering malarkey. One speaker being Angela Barker of Phoenix Flames, spelled F-E-N-I-X. She did a talk on how to use crystals in magic and do like sex magic and stuff. Oh my god, it was really good. I enjoyed it so much. Some of it I knew, but some of it I didn't. So for example, you know, like skull carvings of crystals are really good to do deep meditation to connect to spirit. If you have a palm size or smaller skull crystal, you can meditate with it on your third eye and then you can connect. But she was saying as well, because it's a shape of a skull and that a skull represents death, sometimes when the crystals are carved, they can capture spirits within them. And if you meditate well and you make a connection, you can actually connect to the spirit that may be in this skull that just lived there and you had no idea. So people were really intrigued by this, including myself. And there were a few questions like, is it the spirit of the person who made it, or is it the spirit of whoever lived in the ground it came from? And Angela said, no, it's just a passing spirit who saw the skull, you know, went in it thinking it were like a sign of, I don't really know, like a death gateway or something, and they could get trapped in there. And so if you've got any skulls at home, spend time with them and try and connect to them. And I mean, I've got a tiny little rhodonite skull that I've never really connected with until just now. So when I got home, straight away I was hunting it out and giving it my time, and it's next to my bed now and I'm going to try and connect with it. But how fascinating is that? It's so good, isn't it? She also had this selenite penis. So there were lots of conversations around that one. And she was saying, you know, like, why would I have this? This is to represent the god aspect in my magic. You know, if she were doing sex magic, she'd make an altar around this selenite penis to, you know, give the sex magic power. I was like, whoa, that's well cool. Like, I don't actually own a crystal penis, but I really want one now because that's just fantastic. What's not to like? But yeah, there were a really good selection of speakers there from lots of different backgrounds, including Jessica Howard and Pete Jennings, Diane Narroway, and of course Professor Roland Hutton. I actually managed to catch the professor's talk on Stonehenge, which again was fascinating, about just how shoddy the workmanship was on Stonehenge. The people who made it didn't really have a clue. You know, they were saying why there. Apparently underneath Stonehenge there's this spring deep down and it's got pink water in it, and that attracted the Stone Age people to come and create a monument there, because I guess to them back then it was to be magic, and I think it's something to do with copper content or some chemical reaction of this spring water, but at the time it probably was used to dye clothes and do offerings and stuff, and so they made Stonehenge there, but then, you know, bits fell off and it was just a right shoddy do. But the talk itself was just so enlightening and actually quite funny. The guys, it can be quite hilarious. The prof. Overall, the whole day was amazing. I really enjoyed it, and it was pretty easy for me to do. It's what I do for my job. Kath and Dave, who are the organisers of the whole day. Kaz as well, who was looking after the volunteers and directing them with tasks and how we can help and stuff. Mostly I just hung around, helped traders set up, walked around, give information, folded programs, and then that was it really. Just had a bit of free time. It's a shame I couldn't stay for the bands. I had to leave at about 7:30 to go get my coach, at 10:30 to get home to Leeds, at 3 a.m. to fall into bed at 4 a.m. While I was there, something pretty amazing happened. You know me, right? I love a gamble. I love gambling, me. I mean, I got married in Vegas, so, you know, it's obvious I love gambling. So I can't help myself when it comes to a raffle. At Witchfest, they had 2 raffles. On the ground every day one where all the stall holders donate a prize. And then they had the VIP raffle for members that were up in the VIP bar. The prize for the VIP raffle was an Anglo-Saxon replica of a ritual sword. Ooh! Loads of people wanted to get it. Loads of tickets sold. Now, I know nothing about swords, but I knew I loved a raffle, and I was trying to find the everyday raffle, and I ended up buying the VIP raffle just because I were there and the volunteers were there, and I thought I may as well. When I bought the raffle ticket, a little voice in my head, "You're going to win that. How are you going to get it home?" And I was like, shush, it'll be fine. Kept saying to myself, oh, I need to buy a raffle ticket for the little one. But then part of me were going, well, no, I don't need to because I'll win the other one. It's like, you do a conversation in your head, oh, you're very sure of yourself, aren't you? And then I were even helping Dave fold the tickets up for the raffle entries. The late raffle entries I hastened to add because I had bought the ticket earlier on in the day, possibly in the morning, way before it was going to get drawn in the evening. When he picked out the number, somebody said to me, "You're going to win it. You're going to win it. How are you going to get it home? How are you going to get it home?" And I won it, believe it or not. And I couldn't believe that I won it. People were like, it's a fix. It really wasn't a fix. But just throughout the whole day, I kept seeing myself with this big sword wrapped up in my backpack on public transport and how I was going to do it. It was just like I was visualising a novel that you read. I could just keep seeing it being played out. Like spiritually, that's how a lot of things come to me. I can visualise stuff really clear in my mind and I've no idea where it's come from, and I take them as messages. But I hadn't actually seen the sword that was the prize. I'd only heard it was a sword. I hadn't seen it. God, I were bricking it. It's like, how do you take a sword through London and not look suspicious? So I will dive into telling you about this special sword. This sword is absolutely beautiful. So it's a Anglo-Saxon sword and it's got runes down each side of the blade, and it's in a sort of like a leather carry case thing that you'd put behind your back, and grab it. It's quite a big carry case. It's not Barbie, is it, Swailes? Come on. I did a bit of research on it. It's actually amazing what I found. The sword is called a Seax of Berghoff, and it's a replica of an original created by an independent maker called Phil Stagman, which I think he was an independent business creating amazing replicas. And it's a really famous sword that was found in the River Thames near Battersea. It was found in 1857 and now it lives at the British Museum in London. So the inscription on the blade, it's the only known complete inscription of the 28-letter Anglo-Saxon runic alphabet, as well as the name Berghoff, which is in runic letters. And the runes that are on it, inscription on it, are actually A, B, C, D, E, the whole alphabet, which is quite strange within itself, unusual. And people think the name inscripted on it, Berghoff, is either the owner of the weapon or the smith who forged it. I mean, lots of swords apparently have inscriptions in Latin alphabet written on the blade, or have runic inscriptions on the hilt or the scabbard, which I think is the leather holder case thingy bob that you put over the blade so it doesn't slash you when you're carrying it around in your bag around London. The carry case. The Seax of Berghoff is the only one of a handful of finds with runic inscriptions actually on its blade. So there's many replicas made because it's just such an interesting sword with such an interesting background. And it's quite intriguing because it's just so unusual and unique. Believed to be from 10th century Anglo-Saxon. Also an interesting pub quiz fact, I didn't realise that the Saxon part of Anglo-Saxon, the word sax actually means knife or sword. I think probably sword. Can't remember which now, but I just thought that was a really cool little pub quiz fact for you there. I probably learned that at school with the Roman stuff or the Viking stuff, and it just completely fell out of my head. This sax in question, thought to be a prestigious weapon, decorated with elaborate patterns of inlaid copper, brass and silver, which is another unusual thing about it, apparently. So at the time it was made, it was the common practice to just use one type of metal to do this, hammered into it, to make the writing stand out, like silver or brass. But I think because it's a mixture of silver, brass and something like bronze, it makes people wonder if it was an extra special sword. And because it was found in the Thames and it had no battle marks on it or damage or anything, it was in really good condition for its age, and it obviously was in really fantastic condition when it got thrown into the water. Historians believe it was thrown in the Thames on purpose, which leads to people believing it was a ritual sword that people would do a ritual with in a group before a battle and throw the sword into the water as an offering for a good outcome for their battle, which is why many people believe it's a ritual sword and not a fighting sword, not a battle sword that's seen any action whatsoever. It was pretty much just created, engraved, finished and then thrown into the water. I mean, how cool is that? I've never really given swords much thought, but then winning this sword, I just went down a huge rabbit hole learning all about different sacks and swords and how they're used magically and thought processes behind the history of them and what they look like and who collects them, and gosh, there were loads. And I've pretty much just thought about it non-stop since I won it, just how intriguing the story of the sacks that I've won the replica of actually is, and that they found it in the Thames. And I've sat and I've kind of meditated with it, and I just get this feeling, I mean, it's just a bit of a thing that I do with spirit when I talk to them about stuff, but it's almost like it was a project for a young maker who was trying to improve his skills in making, get good at making sacks for warriors. And then perhaps, I don't know, they were young and they were playing with it and it got thrown into the Thames by mistake. Not playing with it like a little kid plays with her toys, but a bit like two adolescent lads just larking about with it and just having a bit of a silly banter time and then going like, oh bollocks, I've dropped it, and it falling in. That's just what I can see in my mind's eye. And that's why it's got ABC on it, because they were learning how to create inscriptions in the blade. And they probably just used whatever material they had lying around left over from the dad's workshop or something. And it was purely accidental that it ended up in the water for all these hundreds of years. Is just, oh my gosh, fantastic. I mean, that's just a theory. That's a proper personal Swailes theory, but every time I think about this sword, that's just what I see. So it was amazing to win it, and I'm glad I won it. And I did get it home safe, and it just so happens that I'm decorating what used to be my jewellery workshop and creating a beautiful forest green podcasting / altar / witchy hideaway room in my house. So when my house gets chaotic and I need to retreat from the mess and the noise, I have somewhere just for me that's clean and tidy and just my space. And I'm absolutely going to put this sword on the wall and say, wow, I can't believe I won that for my first ever Witchfest. So thank you, universe. I feel really lucky and quite honoured that I've won it, and it absolutely will go pride of place on the wall in my witchy room. And I may get it down from time to time to do a bit of posing with it, photography wise. Beverly Thornton, if she's listening, the amazing photographer, the Pagan photographer from episode 10, If you're listening, don't you think this would make a really good prop for photographs? Let's get it done. We could get some right Xena the Princess Warrior pictures going on with my hand tattoo and the ritual sword. It would be so good. Time to plug the old Witchfest. It happens every year. It's well worth having a look at their website and signing up for their VIP sponsorship that they do every month to help them keep on creating awesome events for witches and pagans and druids and everybody else. They do other stuff. They do the Artemis Gathering, which is an amazing camp in August. And now I've been accepted as a volunteer, I'll probably always be there. Definitely at Witchfest, volunteering. Quite like to volunteer at the camps as well in the summertime. So you might even see me wandering around in my big witchy hat with my big earrings and my big nose ring and be like, hey up, Swailes! Thank you so much for giving me your time and tuning in this episode. Hope it's been alright for you. It's always fun to record them. If you want to be a guest on the podcast, you can email me at thebellwitchpodcast@yahoo.com. I'm on social medias, the Bellwitch Podcast, separated by underscores on Instagram. I've got the next couple of episodes planned, so the next one is going to be an interview with the amazing Anna, who's a fantastic astrologer, talking about the characteristics of the planets and how they fit into readings that she does. And then I'm also going to do a Yule special with my good friend Louise Bloomer, the Wiccan Lady, to celebrate the Yule Sabbat coming in. And finally, if you could review me and put ratings on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, that would mean the absolute world to me. I hadn't had any for a while. I was hoping to get to 50 by the end of the year, which probably is a bit of a stretch now, as I'm on 26, but please do if you can. It means the world and it helps me not pod fade. Alright then, witches and beautiful souls, have a fantastic couple of weeks. Stay magical.